Hi guys,
Hello.
Julia and
Kitty Cat.
And we have a really special guest with us today. If you can introduce yourself.
We do. We have my friend Huney Baked. Huney Baked, do you want to tell us a little bit about it yourself?
Yeah. So I am currently a webcam model. I work for MyFreeCams, and webcam modeling is where you stream live to an audience, and we do things in exchange for money online. And I've been doing webcam for about a year and a half, I'd say. And I absolutely love it. It's my most favorite job that I've ever had in my entire life. And I wish I would have started it so long ago.
Oh, awesome. I love it. Why don't we go a little bit back and get your origin story of the other stuff you met? We met, well, I was dancing at Hustler and you were bartending, right?
I was bartending, yeah. But I actually danced previously before that as well.
Right. You were at Penthouse in New Orleans, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So why don't we go to your origin story? How did you get into dancing? Was that your first sexy employed job? Or
okay, yeah, it definitely was. I was always intrigued by strip clubs, honestly. Like the day I turned 18, I wanted to go to strip clubs. I loved going to strip clubs and I loved getting lap dances. But like in my mind, it was something that I was not allowed to get a job as. Like it was bad, it was naughty, you know? And so I went to college and got my degree, and then I tried multiple jobs and stuff. And I was living in New Orleans at the time, and I was a manager of a Huney Baked ham store. So a friend of a friend was coming to stay with me for a couple of weekends so she could work at the Penthouse Club in New Orleans.
Right.
And I just got to talking to her. And after talking to her and finding out how much money she was making, I was like, what am I doing working at this ham store? So randomly one night, I just decided to go in and audition. I called them up. I was like, hey, can I come audition? They were like, yeah, come in. I went in, filled out my paperwork. They asked me if I wanted to work that night. And after that, it was history. So I danced actually for 6 months while working still as a manager at the Huney Baked ham store. And that's how I got my name Huney Baked, because I actually had a couple of regular customers who knew that I worked at the Huney Baked ham store. And so they call me Huney Baked. So right, like real nickname.
Oh my God, that's so cute.
Yeah. So danced in New Orleans for a while. And then I ended up moving to Vegas, and I took a little break from dancing. That's where I met you. And I cocktailed and bartended a little bit. Also cocktailed at a pool there in Vegas. And then I went back into dancing again.
And where did you dance in Vegas?
I started at Crazy Horse. I worked there for a little bit. I also went to the Rhino. And then Sapphire was the last club that I went to that I really felt at home the most with.
Yeah.
And I actually went to New York last year to help open up a new Sapphire in Times Square, which was really exciting last year as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's kind of the situation where they fly the dancers out and they put them up for a couple of months.
Yeah, I was the feature entertainer for Halloween. Yeah, it was cool.
Oh my golly, that's awesome. I was at a club where I was there like a couple months afterwards, and people were telling me stories, and I'm like, this is crazy. They're just paying you to be here.
Yeah.
On top of it. Like, I'm like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
What do you feel like is talk a little bit about the difference between dancing in New Orleans versus dancing in Las Vegas, because I feel like they're very different, because I've done both too, and they're so different.
They're very different. Okay, so I feel like in Vegas, people have this like mindset that when they go to Vegas, like anything goes, because it's like Vegas and it's Sin City, and like they see all these movies, and I mean a lot of it is true probably. But I feel like it's a lot more bachelor parties
Yes.
I didn't really have any regulars or people who were like locals very much when I danced at Sapphire. It was mainly bachelor parties. People were much more touchy there too.
Yeah.
In New Orleans, like literally you had to the guys had to sit with their hands like next to them, and like they would get in trouble if they like even tried to touch you at all. So it was a little bit more conservative, I would say, in New Orleans, and it was a lot more businessmen, a couple bachelor parties and stuff, but it was a little bit more low key there. Vegas is just like bachelor party, partying it up, everything kind of atmosphere.
Did you work for a club in Vegas where they had the wrist things? Like where you got the lap dances through your wrist, like they gave you a bracelet?
No.
So at Hustler in New Orleans, not Hustler, what was that? Barely Legal. I went to Barely Legal.
Okay. Yeah.
And they had like a machine you would put money into, and then you would get like a bracelet. The guys would feed the money in. You would get a bracelet. You'd wave it over, and it would be like, "This is your amount of time for your lap dance," and it would pop up, and it'd be like 15 minutes.
Oh wow!
The lights were like red, and then they would turn green, and there were managers that walked around. I mean, they were red. They turned to green when you moved them, and then they turned back to red, and the managers walked around and would be like, "Okay, your time's up because the light's red."
Oh wow!
I like that.
That's efficient.
And it was like very efficient. And at the end of the night, they like printed out, like they already took their fees out of it, and you had like an itemized report of your lap dances for the night.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I like that because it also prevents you from not getting money, because it's a big thing where you got to collect your money up front, and every once in a while a girl will not collect your money up front, and it has happened to me a long time ago in the past too, and then you don't get your money because you didn't actually have any money in their wallet and you just gave them a dance.
Right, exactly. There's always that like you got to feel them out to make sure that you're like okay.
Yeah.
So how did you transition into camming?
Okay, so I had a friend who was doing webcam, and I talked to her a little bit about it. I danced off and on for like 6 years, and I absolutely loved it when I first started, but after a while, it just started really taking a toll on me. I didn't like the physical contact anymore. That was kind of getting to me. I also was a lot of girls don't have to drink when they're there, but me personally, I wanted to drink when I was there because I wanted to create this environment for the guys and have fun with them and party so that they would spend more money. So I was drinking, I was smoking cigarettes, and I was dancing long hours, and it just became very exhausting on me, to be honest. And I was just like, I didn't know what else I could do where I could make that amount of money. And so I talked to my friend about webcam, and I registered for MyFreeCams. That's the site that she worked for. And literally one night when I had a bad night, it was December 2 years ago, I had a bad night at the strip club when I didn't really make very much money, and I was just tired of everything and tired of the contact with people. And my processing went through online for all my paperwork and everything. So I literally left the strip club. I went home. I've never watched webcam a day in my life. I didn't even know really what it was. I just logged into the website and turned on my webcam and started talking to people. And I worked for a couple hours and made money.
Nice.
So that's literally how I started doing it. And it was so easy for me. I've always been like very comfortable with my sexuality and very friendly and bubbly. And it was so easy for me to just be myself and then get paid to do that. So yeah.
So do you have a set schedule?
Huh?
Do you have a set schedule in terms of when you webcam?
I do. I cam Monday through Friday, sometime between 12 and 5. And it's just like a regular job.
Where do the people come from if you're doing 12 to 5? Is that 12 p.m. at night to 5 a.m. in the morning, or do you do it in the afternoon?
In the afternoon, during the day.
So where are those people coming from primarily?
Most of them are, I would say, in the US. I think I got a lot of people from the West Coast, I would say. And a lot more now that people are working from home. So, I mean, before I do have people who actually watch me from their jobs. They'll tell me that they're at their job while they're like, oh, I'm at work while I'm watching you. But a lot more people can watch me now that they're actually at home working. But yeah, just here in the US mostly. We do get some people from other countries as well, but mainly US based and just all over the US, to be honest.
I forgot. I forgot what I was going to say. I'm like, I had a thought. But overall, has your business gone up during the pandemic? Has it been the same? Has it gone down? Like,
it's hard for me to tell.
Okay.
I know the very first 2 weeks that everything like shut down and everyone was freaking out, my business like dropped a lot because people were like scared that they were losing their jobs, and people were like looking at their stocks and freaking out and all kinds of stuff, all my customers. So they were really concerned and worried, and then it kind of just like leveled back out to the same. And business has been better for me. And I'm not quite sure if it is because of the pandemic right now, or my business is also building too. So it's gradually getting better and better and busier for me every single day, every single month. So it's kind of hard to tell. I mean, I do know that business has picked up on a lot of sites like Pornhub and all kinds of stuff like that because people are at home. So, I mean, you could say that the pandemic probably has helped just a little bit.
okay.
So what's a good day? Like, what would be a good day as a cam model?
You mean financially, Julia?
Yeah, I guess I'm curious, but yeah.
My best days that I've had have been $1,000.
Nice.
For 5 hours.
So, and it doesn't happen all the time. Like I said, I'm still building and everything, but for the amount of time that I work compared to most people, it adds money in a short period of time. So, and it literally varies every single day because you never know. I mean, you do have fans who come on who are regulars, but you never know who is going to be online that day, who's going to come on to MyFreeCams, who's going to come on and see you and like you, or they might like this other girl, or who knows. So it literally varies from day to day. But I do consistently make at least an average amount. But I mean, there are girls, the top webcam models are bringing in $10,000 a month from MyFreeCams for sure.
Yeah.
So,
Great.
Yeah.
And I've never been on a webcam site. Like I see it every year at the AVNs, but that's about pretty much the extent of it. So how does it work? You have to put your phone on silent. Do you have like a main site and then there's a private chat room you can go to? Or
so it varies from site to site, but on MyFreeCams, you can go to their website. I stream live and people can come watch me for free. You don't have to pay to be in my room watching me.
Okay.
Now, I do have a menu where people can look at my menu. They can purchase tokens through the company, and they can use their tokens to pay me to do things. And you do whatever you want to. That's the good thing about webcam too, is you don't do anything that you're not comfortable doing. So people tip you based on whatever you set your own prices to. Whatever you have on your menu, whatever they would like to see, people can watch you for free, but I only do certain things if people tip me. I also have like countdowns, so I'll have like a certain amount of tokens until I do a specific show. So once that countdown is met, then I will perform that show that day.
Okay.
There's also private chats too, so people can take you into a private chat, and that's where they actually have to pay per minute to be in there with you. And typically that's where more naughty things happen.
And in terms of pricing for the site, how much are they paying per minute to go into the naughtier room?
How many tokens per minute?
Yeah.
They pay 80 tokens per minute for a private.
Okay, and what is a token equivalent to? What is the
tokens are 5 cents per token.
Okay.
And the company, they automatically take their money out of the tokens up front. So every token that the girls get, that's all their money.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And how often do you get paid? Do you get paid every week, every day, every month?
Yeah. So for MyFreeCams, we get paid twice a month, just like most jobs. We get paid, what is it, at the middle and then the beginning or end of the month. And the cool thing about MyFreeCams too is that you can actually get your money whenever you want. So if you decide, oh, hey, I need this money, you can actually request the money that has been built up in your account already. And then it'll be in your bank account within like 2-3 days.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're doing the cams, do you find that you get a lot of regulars or is it a lot of new people?
It's honestly both.
Okay.
Yeah. I have regulars, but I also have like random people who will show up and spend a bunch of money. So it's honestly a combination of both. I have fans that have been my fans since when I very first started camming a year and a half ago, and I have people who just came in my room that day and I'll never ever see them again. So it's a combination of both, for sure.
In terms of the things like the sideboard card that you were saying where you can ask about like people can pay tokens for you to do specific things, what do they range from? Are they like what do they range from? Like is it like
like on the tip menu?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. There's all kinds of things. There's silly things where like I laugh all the time so people can like giggle deny me and tip a certain amount of tokens. Or they can like tip me to do a blowjob or like all kinds of things, you know, boob flash, pussy flash, butthole flash, whatever they want to see pretty much.
And what is your item of choice to do a blowjob on? Like what is the item? Is it a dildo or is it something else?
Oh, I always do my blowjobs on, it's my special dildo, my real cook. I got it at the AVNs actually. And it's a Real Cock 2 is the product. It's from the makers of Real Doll. And it is the most amazing dildo that I've ever had in my entire life. And I love it.
That's a natural endorsement.
I know. I love it. You're like, it's the most amazing thing. I love it.
It really is. It really is.
Yeah.
What are some tips for people that are thinking about getting into camming? What are things that you wish you would have known that first night when you signed on and just started talking to people?
I would say definitely do some research before you do it. I don't regret doing what I did, but I wish that I would have had some content created already. You can also like sell things through MFC. So I have like a page as well where I sell videos and pictures and content and clonapussies and all kinds of things. So I wish I would have done a little bit of research and I would have created a little bit of content for people to purchase when I first signed up so that I could, you know, get started with a bang a lot harder than when I first started. So that would be my advice for that. It's not for everyone. You know, anything you do online can end up anywhere on the internet.
Right.
So you have to be okay with that because what you're doing will be on the internet. So you have to be okay with that. And it is a little strange. It's a little hard, but if you have a good backbone, like it's totally fine. What else?
You mentioned the clonapussy, which I've seen your YouTube video, which is. But do you want to explain it to someone who might not know what it is?
Okay, so clonapussy is this product that is sold where you can make a mold of an actual vagina. So It's like this whole kit. It is like the silicone and everything, and you literally like pour the stuff in this container and like stick it on your vagina and make a mold of your vagina. And then you stick it onto this like huge thing where a guy can actually like fuck it.
like a fleshlight.
You can fuck your vagina. Yeah.
That's for the loyal fans.
Yes. Very loyal fans. It is a little pricey too.
It's worth it.
Vagina, so.
So I wanted to talk to you about relationships and camming.
Yeah, so relationships. I think it's the same for any sex worker in the industry. It's really hard, to be honest, to be in a relationship when you're a beautiful woman and you're doing sexual things. I think for myself personally, the biggest thing I've had trouble with is jealousy in men.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it was never on my part. I'm very open. I'm very honest with people about what I do for work and everything. But I think for me, honestly, my best piece of advice for girls would be to make sure that you're dating someone who is worthy of you, who is somewhere in your number range too. So like, let's say there's a scale from 1 to 10 people and their attractiveness and how good of a person they are and their good qualities. If you are a 9 or a 10 girl and you're doing this cam modeling or you're doing stuff like this and you date someone who's a 4, they're going to have serious jealousy issues because they're going to be very scared that you might leave them for someone else. And you might not be that kind of person, but there's no way for them to get away from that fear. And I think like women, they don't value themselves as much as they should. And a lot of women tend to date men who are a lot beneath them because they just don't feel like they are worthy of what they should be. And I feel like for a very long time, that was my problem. I was dating men who they definitely weren't worthy of dating me. And I had a lot of problems with that. And jealousy was my main thing. And jealousy is really bad. You know, jealousy can cause them to cheat. I've been in, abusive relationships because of jealousy and stuff like that. So you have to be really careful when dating, definitely, as any person in the sex industry.
Are you in a relationship right now?
Yes.
Yes.
I am currently in a very healthy relationship. Finally. For the first time in my life. And I think as I've gotten older, I mean, I've gotten more wise and I know what I want now. And when you're younger, you don't know what you want, you don't know what you want. You don't know what's out there and what's good for you. And I think it takes time too, to be able to know what you actually need in someone.
Yeah. I mean, I think when you know what you don't want, you begin to know what you want, Yeah. I'm not going to do that one again. Like,
yeah.
Now,
here's my advice for women. This is something my mom told me. She told me last year after I went through a really bad breakup. And she was like, you know what you need to do? She was like, I did this when I got divorced and when I figured out what I wanted in a man. She was like, you need to sit down and you need to get every single thing that you want in a man on a piece of paper, from the color of their eyes, the color of their hair, to how you want them to act, to the kind of job that you want them to have. You need to have everything on that list, and you don't settle for anything less than that because that's what you want and that's what you deserve. So I think that's a great piece of advice because then you look at that piece of paper and if there's someone who you're like, well, this is okay. Maybe they'll change. Maybe, No, they're not like your host. They're not what you wanted. Don't settle.
Now, when you met your significant other of the moment, did you meet him in a capacity where he knew you were a webcammer right away, or was it something you had to like go on a date and be like, "This is what I do"?
No. Okay, so this is a funny story. I actually met him. So I did a couple of dancing ventures last year, and you know, I went to New York, and then I did a couple of like private parties and stuff, and I actually was a stripper at a bachelor party, a private bachelor party on a houseboat, and he was there, and that's where I met him. So he was very aware of the person that I am, and you know, I was upfront and open about my job from the very beginning. So yeah, he knew. I think that's the best way too. You shouldn't hide this kind of job and this kind of life from people, because if they're not okay with it when you first meet them, they really aren't going to be okay with it.
Yes, yeah. I think it's I think overall, like, if you can be the most authentic version of yourself when you first meet someone, you're gonna end up meeting someone who is the perfect fit for you, because they're gonna be but when you start hiding things and they come out, they're like, I thought you were somebody else.
Exactly.
So in terms of lead generating, is it all from MyFreeCams, or do you like actively do we had read an article last week where we were talking about like Snap Professional, and then like I know you do a lot of stuff on Instagram. I've checked out your page. How do you get the fans to come to you on MyFreeCams?
Well, MyFreeCams is like one of the largest webcam companies in itself. So quite honestly, most of my fans come through the website itself because people are there and they know about it. But I do have an Instagram. I do get some fans from there. I have a Twitter account as well. I also have an OnlyFans page. So all of those bring fans as well, but I would say the majority of my fans are through the website directly. And so I think when you decide and choose a webcam company, you want to make sure that it's a good one, because they're going to give you the volume, because the people who come to those websites, they know what they're coming there for. So they're going to be the ones who spend the most money, honestly. You might get a few people from other sources, but mainly it's going to be through the website itself.
Now, you mentioned OnlyFans, which Julia and I talked about last week. How long have you been on it? Have you been on since the beginning? And like, what differentiates it? Because we've noticed that there's been an uptick in our friends who have gotten on the website in the last couple months because of the pandemic.
Yeah. So I started my OnlyFans page in December last year, and I don't stream live on it. I haven't streamed live on it yet. My OnlyFans I use to post mainly my photo sets. I have a lot of professional photo sets that are full nude that I post on there, a couple of video clips and short little videos and stuff. And then it's also an avenue for people to come and message me. I don't typically respond to people's messages on Instagram and Twitter. I just don't have the time, honestly. So if they want to message me, they can purchase my OnlyFans page and talk to me through there. So it's just kind of another way to kind of get people. And I do actually get a couple of fans through my OnlyFans page. So it's mostly pictures that I post on my OnlyFans, and then my more raunchy content is all on my MFC page. So.
And when you started out, did you start out with the level of raunchiness that you are at, or was it like a slow burn where you got, I'm gonna try that?
So when I first started doing webcam, I was a little shy to like do things in the live stream where it was free for everyone to watch. I honestly had no problem doing the more raunchy things in private with people because it wasn't a bunch of people watching. But as I built my business and I've realized that if I want to make more money, then I got to give people what they want. So it's slowly grown and built, and I've, released a little bit more and a little bit more, but it's kind of like a little tease too, and I think it kind of reeled some people in a little bit too, like here's a little taste and then here's another little taste. So it's just kind of built up. I still haven't posted any content like actually having sex with anyone. It's all dildos and stuff, which girls can post that on their MyFreeCams pages for people to purchase. But I don't know if I'm personally ready to release content like that yet. So
makes sense. That's a nice thing is you get to pick, right?
Yeah, you get to pick whatever you want, and yeah.
Do you have a particular persona that you feel like you like when you're dancing, you're like, this is the fun girl, this is the super sexy girl.
Yeah. I think my friends come to me because I am very bubbly and nice, and I don't mind talking to people and having conversations with them, but I'm also very sensual and sexy. And my fans love when I talk really dirty to them. I have like this like cute little high-pitched little girl voice, and I'm saying these like really nasty things to them. And so I really enjoy that. I really enjoy talking really dirty to people and doing JOIs. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that.
What's that?
Jerk off instructions.
Okay.
Yeah, so I really love talking nasty, and I really love giving jerk off instructions, and my fans really love that.
You're built for it.
Yeah.
And you're adorable. So do you have like do you have an Amazon page? Is that tied in? Like, do you have fans purchase outfits for you?
Yeah, that's one thing that I thought was so cool when I first started doing webcam. So here's a funny story. When I first started doing webcam, I had this desktop computer, like this, it was kind of bulky too. I didn't even have a laptop that I had from like, I don't know, it was probably like 4 or 5 years old, and it was just not a good computer. It was super slow, but I was like, I'm not buying a new computer until I make money from this, and then I'll invest that money in it. So I was using this desktop computer that had this built-in webcam on it that was like really grainy, and you couldn't see me very well. And all of my fans, when I first started, they were like, we can't see you very well, honey. You need to get a new camera. You need a new computer. And I was like, well, guys, if you want to see me better, then buy it for me. And so I set up my Amazon wish list, and sure enough, I had someone buy me a new computer. I had someone buy me a new webcam. They buy me lingerie. They buy me furniture. They buy me all kinds of nice, fun things.
Yeah. I have to say, when I found out about the Amazon wish lists, I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Right? You just put it out there in the universe and some stranger sends it to your door.
Yeah. Literally, like I put on my Twitter just a couple of weeks ago, I was like, I really want a stripper pole for my bedroom. And so I put on the top of my Twitter page, I was like, I want a stripper pole. Here's my Amazon wish list. This is the #1 thing I want. I said, I'll make you a video with it and give it to you first when I get the stripper pole. And the very next day.
Well, if our supporters and audience members want to find you online, where can they do that?
So I would go to MyFreeCams. You can come see me live there. And see my titties or whatever else you want to see there. Monday through Friday from 12 to 5 Pacific time. And if you don't catch me live, I mean, you can still Google my name or look up MyFreeCams and look up Huney Baked. And I still have a page that has all my content for sale on it. And then you can also find me on my OnlyFans and on Instagram and on Twitter. So literally just Google Huney Baked. Make sure you spell it right. So it's Huney and then baked. And it'll probably pull up my vagina.
Perfect.
Perfect.
You'll find me.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I've loved learning about your life as a cam girl, and you've just been so lovely to chat with, and I'm glad we were able to share you with all of our people.
Yeah, it was so great seeing you again.
Thank you for having me. It was fun.
Great. Bye.
Bye.
All right. Well, that was fascinating.
I know, isn't it? Like it's just so different. Like that's what I love about this show is that like you get a little bit of like little snip. I was talking to my mom about this earlier today, and I'm like, well, you know, I don't want to do it, but I want to learn about it.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, and I think like the main thing is just that like it's an option. If you want to do it, you want to earn money from your home, it's something that you enjoy.
Right.
It's something you can do. And I think that's the really positive thing about sex work that people miss is that it actually gives people a lot of power in their situation, you know?
It gives you a lot of freedom. Like I knew multiple people when I was dancing at Hustler who were single moms. They came in, they worked one shift, and then they got the rest of the week with their kids, you know? Like if they were working at the Huney Baked ham store, they wouldn't have that opportunity.
I love that she was a manager of a Huney Baked ham store. Can I just say that I've eaten at Huney Baked ham many a time in Jackson, Michigan growing up. Actually, my ex-boyfriend's mother was the manager of Huney Baked ham in Jackson, Michigan, and she did not look.
No, she didn't look like.
She did not look like Huney Baked. No.
I feel like the Huney Baked ham people are like, oh, yeah, we don't want to embrace that, but at the same time, at least it's a gorgeous person who's doing it. Like,
right. And like, I feel like you can't even get mad about it because at the end of the day, she's just making your brand a little bit more interesting.
And she's so freaking adorable. Like she's just so adorable. She was like the nicest bartender at Hustler when I worked there.
Yeah. The first time I met her was at the AVNs when you introduced. Yeah. One thing I'll say about MyFreeCams, they have the best chapstick.
Oh, yes, because they were giving it away.
I use that chapstick all the time.
Nice.
It's kind of like how Hustler has great pens.
Yes, they do. I miss those pens. They're great pens.
So, Kat, we scoured the internet this week.
We did, yes.
That are interesting and fascinating. And one of the first one, which kind of goes in line with what we were just talking about, communications online, is sext emojis.
Yes.
You were saying you were having a conversation with somebody.
I was having a conversation with, I don't know what is in the water. I think we've hit the quarantine week where people are like, oh my God, I cannot stand it anymore because everybody came out of the woodwork this week for me. Like where I was getting texts left and right. And I got a text from someone that we chat like every once in a while, but he was mentioning a time we had been intimate together on a certain piece of furniture in his house. He had walked in and looked at the island and remembered when we had sex upon it. And I was trying to be flirty, but I didn't really want to get that deep into like
a conversation about fucking him on the counter.
Right, exactly. Yes. I mean, I'm a super goofy girl. I'm really, you know how Danielle says she's great at dirty talk? Like, I think it's the silliest thing in the world. So like, I can't 100% wrap my brain around sexting dirty talk because like, I'll send you an eggplant emoji, but it's not like I'm going to go deep on like writing a novel from like 50 Shades of Grey. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So funny story about sexting emojis. Yeah. I once had a partner stay out all night, come home the next day. His phone was dying, so I went to go plug it in.
Mm-hmm.
plugged it in, it lights up.
Yes.
And all I saw was Julie, not my name. My name's Julia. This symbol emoji, eggplant emoji, kissy face emoji.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, we don't need to decode what happened here.
Right.
So I mean, emojis, right? They're not words. They can mean a lot.
They can. So I was texting with this guy the other night, and I texted the picture of the emoji with the party hat, and it's got like the blower in its mouth, like
yes,
like when you're having a party with like your family, you text it. Because I was like trying to come up with something that was cute and wit to get out of this conversation. So I was like, I thought I was doing like another version of the kissy face. So I texted to him, and all of a sudden he writes, "Really?" And I'm like, oh no, what did I just text him? Because like,
really? No, not really. Not really.
No, it was an invitation for a sex party, apparently.
Was it? I missed that.
I literally asked 2 guy friends within 2 days. Like, I'm like, did you know this? Like, because like I didn't know this one was what it was.
Yeah. And I mean, so there's a really nice article in Women's Health magazine if you want to look it up. That
yes.
All the different sext emojis. And some of them are pretty straightforward. You have the eggplant, the carrot, the peach, right?
Right.
Yeah, like you said, the taco, sushi. And then you get ones like camel, camel toe. And
yeah, like I don't think I would have interpreted the rhino as like I'm horny.
Yeah, or scissors.
Yeah. So
it's fascinating if you're curious. But all in all, I think a lot of us can have miscommunications if we only communicate in emojis.
Yes. Emojis I find are a lot of easy ways to get out of a conversation where you're not 100% sure what's going on. Like, because it's text. There's no context. There's no inflection. There's no nothing that you're like, I'm having a conversation and I'm joking. So it's like sometimes somebody reads something and you're like, and then it turns into something else and you're like, how did we get here? And I'm like, I know, I'm going to send an emoji and that's going to fix all of it.
This emoji expresses my feelings. Sometimes I do it when I know a response is needed, but I don't really want to say anything. Like, I thought the last thing was lame, or like, I'll usually be like, winky face, that's all you get. I'm a great conversationalist, but not if you're not. Like, you have to put a little effort into the conversation.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. Sexting emojis. So this is the world we live in now.
Yes, this is. And I think that like, especially as, I was talking to a friend and they're like, we're in week 10. Like the thing is, we're getting to the point where people are deciding whether or not to stay in or not. But the people who are staying in still want to hang out with people. They're only staying in because they want to not get sick or infect people. So like they still need that communication and they're reaching out for it with whoever's there, because it's not like they can go on dates really.
Well, that's why camming is picking up.
Exactly.
Full circle. Speaking of something a little more historical, Kat, you found a really interesting article this week.
Yes. So
I'm going to pull up her portrait real quick, but it's titled The Untold Story of a Legendary Topless Mistress Who Saved France.
Yeah, this was a fun one. I don't know. Have you started watching The Great yet on Hulu?
It's on my to-do list. It hasn't made it to my top of the to-do list, though.
So I watched an episode with my dad on Saturday night, and it's a lot of fun. It's a comedic version of Catherine the Great. So then I started Googling Catherine the Great, and I ended up on this, which is a story of the official mistress of France, who was really into showing the things that made her the best. And one of them was her one boob that she was really into. So she
had her articles of clothing tailored to show that one boob.
Right. She was very proud of it.
If you're listening to a podcast, please look this up. Her name is Angus
Sorrell. Yes.
Yeah, look it up.
Yeah, she was in the 1440s. She was known as the Dame de Butte, which is the Lady of Butte. And like pretty much, the thing about kings during that time period is usually they didn't keep their mistresses for that long, but she had quite the reign as a mistress.
Yeah, and it was said that she was like the most beautiful of all the mistresses, like all the men. So the king kind of kept her as like this prize. Yeah. She even had his ear and the ability to influence politics and things like that.
And she also, because she was the king's mistress and he thought she was the most beautiful person in the world, when they were commissioning artwork for the country, he was using her as the model for most of it.
Yeah, so there's many images of like Madonna and baby Jesus from that time,
right?
That said to be her image.
Yes, and it's very interesting if you look at the article, which was on Vice. Vice has a great article about it.
Yeah.
You can see how different her boob looks from picture. Like one of them looks like a before the boob job, and the one looks like it's after a boob job. Which I find very funny because silicone boobs had not been invented in the 1400s. Like,
it's just to say that people have always preferred different sized titties. That's all. Some people like big, some people like little. These artists are just expressing their level of.
Right, yeah. Some of them look like they should be like Jello molds on top of a body.
Yeah,
in the way.
But honestly, this woman's really fascinating. You should listen, or you should check out her story on Vice. Vice Media does great things.
Yeah.
Shout out to a show that me and my roommate have been getting into, Hate Thy Neighbor.
I don't know anything about it, so tell me about it.
It's a Vice Media show. I don't even feel awful. I can't remember the host names. I've watched 2 seasons of it, and I can't remember the host name. But it's a great show, Hate Thy Neighbor. And they go into kind of these groups that are very either separationalist or actually antagonistic towards other demographics, whether it be like the angry feminist movement or, the angry this movement or angry that. It's like the side of all the
angry librarians.
The angry librarians.
Yeah.
But it's fascinating because it's just these people, somehow Vice managed to get them to let down their walls.
Yeah.
And it's a great series. So Hate Thy Neighbor, Vice, you do great investigative journaling.
They do. They really do. Especially when it comes to mistresses whose tits are out.
I mean, that's my favorite part of all things.
Right?
And the tits are out. I can't wait until we're able to do shows and put tits out again. I was talking with people this week about when we might be able to go back. And
do you have a date on the books that like?
We have shows we haven't canceled. I'll put it away.
Yeah.
At this point, nobody wants to risk anybody's health. And nobody wants to be in. I mean, it's a pandemic, so I mean, and in most states, and it's not even legal to have events more than 10 people right now.
Yeah,
so, we'll see what ends up happening. I'm very excited. We're working on some new content and things to kind of with Pinups on Tour to help move things along a little bit, and honestly, just keep people busy.
Yeah.
Our performers need stuff to do, man.
We do. I am remodeling the bathroom at my dad's house right now because okay,
I'm going to show you. I was going to wait till the end of the podcast, but you want my new quarantine project?
Yes. Yeah.
I'm going to show you it. Hold on. I got to pull up the screen for.
This is the behind the scenes for us to watch online.
This is my new project. It's a 1978 Triumph Spitfire.
What? You bought a car?
I did. I've had a 15-passenger van for the past couple years, and this was a screaming deal, and it's beautiful and sexy. And her name's Bardot.
Oh, nice, nice.
After Bridget Bardot, because she's a European bitch with curves.
Nice. So is it a stick?
It's a stick. Yeah, it's a manual. Luckily, my first car was a stick shift, so I know how to drive it.
Okay. How many miles are on her?
54,000 miles.
Oh, that's not a lot at all.
No. And honestly, it runs. I've been driving it to the grocery store and post office, and it needs a little bit of body work, little things here and there, but I love it. And when I called my stepdad, he told me his dream car was a 1978 yellow Spitfire.
Are you going to keep the color black, or are you going to?
For now, it's going to stay black because it's in decent condition, and that's but overall, I do think it's probably going to get painted yellow now that I know that was my stepdad's
favorite.
Yeah. So
did you get rid of the van, or you have?
No, I still have the van.
Okay.
But classic cars are very inexpensive to insure, very inexpensive to keep.
Mm-hmm.
Just the maintenance of them. But it's been fun. You know, I changed the taillight myself, which I've never done in
Nice.
I've been doing touch-up paint on the body myself. I just took the convertible top off myself, and I'm repainting it and sanding it. So,
you're getting
it's a good project. I'm gonna have to hire a mechanic to do the stuff under the hood.
Right.
But there's a lot of stuff that it's been fun. So that's my new quarantine project. And when you come to town, I'll pick you up from the airport
in style.
In style, yeah.
Yes. Well, luckily, you are in Classic Cars Central in terms of finding a mechanic, because Las Vegas has some of like the best classic cars around.
Yeah, it's because honestly, the weather's
perfect. Yeah, there's no salt, there's no moisture.
It's great at preserving them, which is one of the reasons why this car still runs beautiful, is because it's always been in Las Vegas. It's always been in a garage. It's always been cared for. We got it from a woman who, it was like her and her husband's project. And then unfortunately he got cancer, and really was just like, but we've got the car. It has all the parts. It's amazing. So that's my yay of the week, in case you're.
Oh, yay to that.
Right?
Were you looking, or was it you saw it and fell in love?
I saw it and fell in love. And it was such a deal that like literally they won't insure it for the amount I bought it for. They were like, that's not even an insurable amount. So it was such a great deal that I was like, and it's an investment, I can fix it up and make it nice. So, that was my yay of the week. So I've been.
That's like exciting.
Yeah, I ran out of house projects to do.
Yeah.
I think we have one more article this week.
We do. We got sidetracked, but we can.
We did. Sorry, people. I was talking about my new car.
It's all right. They get to find out, a little bit about the real life. The real life of Julia and Kitty Cat.
Yeah, and the fun thing is we're going to be creating some content with the girls from Pinup soon. So there'll be lots of pictures with the car soon.
Yes.
But people have been coming up with all kinds of fun ways to create content, which kind of leads into our third story, which is about quarantined BDSM. We want to tell people about that while I pull up the photo real quick.
Sure. Yeah. This is about dominatrix primarily. And I think that the best thing to say about people who are looking for dominatrix is a lot of times it's because they're looking for someone to punish them and make them feel small. And that usually happens when it's someone in a very high position, right? They want the contrast because they're always the boss. So they want someone to be the boss and then tell them that they're a bad boy or whatever it is their, fantasy of choice. But it's for them to feel small. So as we've been going through this quarantine and the sheltering in place, the dominatrix who have gone to online, because, a lot of it's in it's a lot of it's in person. Like a lot of like doming is like bringing somebody over and having them clean your house. I remember reading a story there was like a 50-year-old woman who had decided to become a dom, and like literally she would have men come over and clean her house, and they would pay her because they wanted her, they
love them.
They wanted, she would like slightly whip them and all that stuff, but it was like, no, you're a bad boy, you're not cleaning it good enough. But the ones that have gone online have found that they aren't playing the dominatrix role as much, because a lot of times you look for that when you feel like you've controlling, like a CEO of a company, he pretty much has like his fingers on like every button, and he knows what's going on. But you take that person and you put them in a pandemic, and maybe they feel less certain, so they're not looking so much for a dominatrix as they're looking for someone who might comfort them.
It's interesting. I actually read both sides of this book. There's this book called The Bottoming Book, and then there's a book called The Topping Book.
Okay.
Get my hands on the screen.
I have not heard of these books. So.
Bottoming Book, and you have?
No, I have not. So tell me about that.
So it's basically written by it's a nonprofit. I can't remember the name of it, out of San Francisco, but it's the only BDSM nonprofit in the world, and it's
right. And of course, it's in San Francisco.
And of course, it's in San Francisco, and it's dedicated to the education and healthy lifestyle of it.
Right.
It's really interesting because I read the Bottoming Book and then I read the Top Book, and how they describe how it is. It's like BDSM is a fluid thing. People don't need the same things out of what they call play dates.
Right.
Every single time.
Right.
The fact that these DOMs are being flexible makes them, in the BDSM community, a very desirable dom, because at the end of the day, you are concerned with your bottom getting
what they want.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Like, it's a very interesting, I recommend, if you're into the psychology of it, there's also a chapter in there about sex magic in both books, which we all know is real.
Yeah.
This podcast, we know sex magic's real.
And you could interview Aleister Crowley.
If only.
He would be the best guest.
But sex magic, it's BDSM is a way a lot of people can tap into that on a level that far surpasses what they believe traditional sex can accomplish. So it's fascinating. I recommend the books, The Bottoming Book, The Top Book. They're on Kindle.
Yeah.
Amazon has them.
I think overall, like, being in the world of stripping, like, the best strippers are the ones who become whatever that client needs. Like, they figure, because it's like you become a mental ninja, and like the really big money makers can assess somebody right up top and be like, this person, a CEO, just based on how they're walking, so they probably are looking for someone who's going to dom them. So I guess top them,
yeah.
Because they need to be a bottom, because they never get to be a bottom.
Exactly. And I think it's interesting because you'll hear a lot of people that'll feel like, they say they'll go years and years and years, even decades in the BDSM community, thinking, I'm always a bottom, I'm always a bottom, or I'm always a top, I'm always a top.
Right.
Then you meet somebody who brings out another side of you.
Yeah.
You see, that's like kind of the magic of BDSM, is you're given the permission to set rules with each partner. Like, each partner you get to make new rules with, and what you want out of that relationship. And the clarity of it in traditional BDSM relationships is so nice. And they also kind of go over, like, hey, if somebody's not being clear, if somebody's not listening to you, if somebody doesn't care if you're enjoying this, that's not BDSM, that's abuse, and that's different.
Well, I think it really comes back down to mirroring, which is like, I mean, like I said earlier, like, I feel like every person I've texted with, like, in the last year has come out of the woodwork in the last week. And like, having I have conversations with different guys, and everybody's different. Like, I literally was like, earlier this week was referencing one person to a friend and I was like, I really want to rape him because I want him so bad. And then somebody else did something and I was like, no, that's not acceptable. Even though like, you know, you have your own personalities in whatever relationships you are where you're like, I'm not that person with you.
Yeah. And I think that and it's interesting because like I had somebody that I was having kind of an interesting dynamic with for a couple weeks. And then he just kept being like, even though we're during a pandemic,
right,
kept being busy, like busy for weeks after weeks after weeks.
Yeah.
But he texted me every single day. And so then I finally was like, like, I don't need a text buddy for like weeks, right? And as soon as I was like, then he takes me out to dinner, does the right thing. You know what I mean? But like being in a relationship is so you can't be putting anything out there.
So are you going out to dinner now? Like, or when you say out to dinner?
I went out to dinner. I went out on my first date 2 nights ago.
And how was that in terms of like the act? Now you can talk about the date, but I'm more interested in like the physical going out to dinner part of it.
Yeah. So the date was fine. He was great. It was fine.
Yeah.
But the physical going out to dinner part, this is how. So you had to make a reservation because every place in Vegas is pretty much at capacity because they're only operating at 50% and everybody's aching to go out.
Right.
Make a reservation. So we went through like 4 styles of restaurants before we found one that had a reservation open. So you want something, make it the day before.
Right.
And we showed up. There were X's on the tables, every other table. So you couldn't sit at every other table. Waiters all wore masks. But other than that, it was very much like having a normal meal, and it honestly was nice. It was nice to go out to eat and have someone else cook your food and make your drink, and it was nice.
I think everybody's so sick of cooking.
Yeah, we're all like, oh, this was nice at first, but we're over it.
And it's fun. Like I'm having like but like it would be nice to go out to a restaurant.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm ready for it yet, just because the category my dad's in. He's like chomping at the bit, and I'm like, dude, you got a couple of clicks that would make me wanna
hold. Yeah, and I think that's really the key. So one thing, my roommate actually went back to work this week, which is why I podcast in the living room.
Yeah.
But he is going to start flying next week, and we had kind of a conversation about it. And I was like, it doesn't really bother me because we're not in the category of people that's super susceptible.
Right.
So he's going to be cautious. He's going to carry hand sanitizer. He'll wear a mask on the plane.
Right.
But if something happens and he brings it back, we're not a household that's probably to have the worst kind of issues from COVID. So, I realize it's a risk, but I also want him to be able to pay his rent. Yeah. If he can't work, he can't pay his rent. And he pays his rent, I pay my mortgage. So it's like
makes sense.
We're willing to risk it. But I said, we're not doing hospital visits right now. I'm not coming into contact with anybody. I'm not coming into contact with anybody really, except for the occasional date, and all them are 30s and healthy and
all that fun,
all that good stuff,
all that jazz.
So but that's pretty much my dating experience on COVID. I've only had one, so we'll see.
I have a friend who has a very small dating site, which is I might have talked about this. We could probably do an episode on this, but it's called Fairy Trail, and you're supposed to meet people online and then go on a vacation together.
Oh,
it's like you meet them online, you do a video chat, you figure out if you like them, and then you're supposed to go to Paris together for like 5 days, which to me seems a little extreme. But
how how many dates have you rolled up to where you're like, ooh, not what I thought?
I mean, exactly. Like, that's the thing I always thought was very strange about him. Like, he's a Silicon Valley guy, and like, he travels a lot. So he came up with this idea of this dating site. So jump forward to COVID, and what happened is they now have this other feature, which is you can do a virtual date off their site. So like the two of you could go on a tour of the Louvre together, where you pay like $13 each, and then like you do an hour-long date going to the Louvre.
Oh.
Or they have like ones where you can go like walk around Barcelona virtually, but like it's something virtually you could do together, which I think is kind of cool.
You know, people are coming up with all kinds of clever virtual ways to get together. I think anything that makes us feel less alone and more connected is amazing. We're going to start, like I said, focusing really on content at Pinups on Tour. That's kind of our new goal for the next month.
Right.
It's just because at this point, we don't know what else to do.
Right. I mean, like, I think that's what every entertainer is having the challenge with. And like, the longer things go, like I have joked with a lot of people in the movie and television industry that I'm friends with. And I'm like, if this goes on for a year, we're going to be watching like animated shows nonstop. Like people can do voiceovers from home, and then they can animate it. But like, they're not going to shoot movies, until, because there's just so many people together.
Yeah, for our content, I was reaching out to a couple venues and I was like, this is how we would do it. This is how it would be. This is how the set would be limited. This is
right.
Like, you have to think about all these things. And you ultimately want everyone to be safe. So of course it's worth the precaution, but I'm looking forward to having a little more normalcy and connection and all that good stuff in life. But until then, people can check out Cam Girls on MyFreeCams.
They can check out Huney Baked and her adorableness.
Yeah. But I think that's it for this week's episode. Unless you have something else you want to share.
No, I think I'm good.
You're good? You're still in Florida?
I'm still in Florida.
Well, I'm still in Vegas, and I guess that means we're going to come back. I think we might be doing a couple more episodes for you guys. We've been doing a lot of outreach with different sexy brands and products and people to bring on to talk to you guys.
Friends. I think we're going to have a lot of friends in the next couple of weeks.
Yes, we are. It's going to be great. So we will come back maybe more than me. With Better Than Sex. If you want to find us online, you can go to www.wttburlesque. Oh, I messed that up. wttburlesque.com, or on all the socials at wttburley. I think that's it for this week's episode, guys.
Sounds good. I will see you later.
Bye. It's ending.